This video is tongue-in-cheek. What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. We're almost at the end of the year and just a few videos left to wrap this year up. Something you need to know about me is that I am a pretty sarcastic and snarky person in the right context, and I've mostly kept that off of the YouTube channel because I don't want to come across as someone that's negative, because I'm not negative at all. That's not my personality, that's not who I am. I am a glass half full, optimistic, positive person, but I do love to push some buttons. Most of the time I do that on other platforms like my Instagram stories or threads, maybe some other random places, and definitely in real life with a few close friends and the kids. Love to push their buttons. But for this video, I decided to bring a little of that here to YouTube. So it's been a little over a year since I immersed myself into the Leica community. And getting into the Leica community meant getting into the Leica culture. Now, if you remember from my story, I have shot basically every major camera brand over the last 20 years. The most recent being Sony for the last several years until I began this migration over to Leica. Now, Sony has a culture of its own. And honestly, all of the camera brands kind of have a culture around them, but the Leica culture is honestly just absolutely ridiculous. Now, before you send a bunch of hate my way in the comments or in emails or DMs, I want to encourage you to just enjoy the day. Have a sense of humor. None of this in this video is meant to be a stab at any one particular person. It's all in good fun, and honestly, all of the things I'm going to bring up, I'm pretty much guilty of many of them myself. This video is meant to be fun, and it's in good fun. Don't take it too serious. And let's talk about the really weird culture of Leica photographers. Okay, so the first thing we have to mention, you hold your Leica the wrong way. Anyone that takes a photo typically does this, right? This is how we do photography. In fact, any other camera brand, that's what you're doing. You're putting it right here, except you're not holding a rangefinder. What the heck am I doing here? You got that camera up, you got that lens on, however you want to hold it, whatever, and that's how you shoot. That's normal. That's what people do, not Leica photographers. Apparently, the correct way to hold a Leica is like this. So you got the rangefinder with one eye and the other eye to see whatever's going on around you, because the rangefinder doesn't show you what's going on around you, right? This is the correct way to hold a Leica, apparently, and to me that's super weird. But fun fact about me, you may not know, I am actually blind in my right eye. And I'm not saying like I'm legally blind, like I'm actually blind, like I don't have vision in my right eye. But here we go, I'm supposed to do this, take photos. You're holding it wrong, people. You're holding it wrong. Yeah, this one I will never get on board with. With my Leica, you know what I do? I take photos. I do not make photos. That sounds weird. When I hear people say, I made a photo. I made a photo of this. Let's make a photo. Did you make a photo? All that language sounds really weird. That's not how we speak. That's not in our vernacular. That's not normal language, right? Or maybe I'm the weird one here that just wants to say I took a photo. I take photos. But no, with the Leica community, you make a photo. I will never, ever say that. So I guess I'm an outcast to the Leica community. Okay, next up, everyone assumes if you shoot the M system, you are a street photographer. And everyone assumes that if you're shooting Leica, you're gonna be putting in that zone focusing, you know, we're gonna put it on f8 and get the zone focusing dialed right in. You know, zone focusing is better than autofocus because it's always right on the money. I am not a street photographer. Now, granted, I've done a little street for fun for this channel and for myself. I mean, I live next to San Francisco. What a cool place to go shoot street. But I'm not a street photographer and I have no desire to be a street photographer. I use this for a lot of other things. My God, everyone assumes you shoot Leica M, you are a street photographer. Okay, you ready? Here's the big reveal. Let's talk about the red dot. Because, you got to cover the red dot to remove distraction. I want people to look at my camera and not be distracted by the red dot. Additionally, thieves, they are attracted to that red dot, so we better cover it up. And a lot of photographers, they throw a little gaff tape over their red dot. I use these stickers. I put them in a link below because they are incredibly helpful, and I get asked at least 3 times a week from my videos here about this covering. I do cover my red dot, but I do it because I like the blacked out camera look. That's why the M11 is like the most beautiful Leica. There's no branding on it at all. It's just blacked out. I love it. The more we can black it out, the better. So I cover mine for that reason. A thief, they know it's a Leica. They know. They're not getting this confused with a Pentax. They know. And no one's getting distracted by your red logo. They're just not distracted by it. Cover it up if you want. I cover mine. Seeing the gaff tape over the red logos is part of being Leica. Okay, let's talk about the M6. This camera, I think, confuses a lot of people. The M6 is an incredible, incredible camera by Leica. But there's nothing mythical about it. In fact, these cameras right here, they do the same thing. The only thing that a analog camera is a shutter. The M6 does not give you a look, it's just a shutter. That's it. It is a well-made, beautiful, excellent sounding shutter, but it's just a shutter. In film photography, the look comes from the film. The lens as well, but this is just a shutter. There's nothing mythical or magical about it. You could get an M5, you could get an M4, an M4P, you could get an M7. They're all just shutters. Now the M6 has a wonderful light meter and it's a beautiful black box with a shutter, but this is also a black box on the inside with a shutter. Also this is another black box with a shutter. There's nothing mythical or magical about the M6, but everybody thinks this camera has some magic to it. Okay, so the weirdest photos I've ever seen have come from the Leica community. Every brand kind of has something like I feel like you expect from people that shoot that brand. With Canon, I expect to see weddings and family portraits and that kind of stuff. With Sony, I expect to see bangers on bangers on bangers. Nikon, I expect to see birds. And with Fuji, I expect to see hipsters doing hipster stuff. And with Leica, it's just weird a lot of times. If you look at the Leica hashtags on Instagram or just follow some Leica photographers, you're eventually gonna see some weird stuff. I saw a photo recently where somebody had taken a photo of a guy who is working on his garage door and he had a tarp where the garage door should be. And you could tell he was maybe replacing his garage door, and they took this photo, black and white, and it was in a gallery. I just think it's weird. Like, it's a weird thing to take a photo of. But look, it's all art, to each their own, and please don't hear me as trashing anyone else's work. You do what you love. But I've seen some weird stuff, and I've seen it in the Leica community. And I haven't seen weird stuff a lot in the Canon or Sony or Fuji. Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff in Fuji too. Leica, you're gonna see weird stuff. Part of the Leica culture. Okay, next up, there is a difference between the Leica brand and the M-mount system. So what I've got here, I've got a Zeiss Biogon 21mm lens. It's a great little lens. Don't know if I love it, but I picked it up cheap. This is not a Leica lens, and a Leica purist would never shoot this lens. They would have to have a Leica lens. And there's a lot of Leica purists out there who look down upon the Voigtlanders and the Zeiss. I mean, we can all be honest, we all look down on some of those brands. Not the ones I just mentioned, but like the artisan brands. But yeah, the Leica purists, if they see you walking around with a lens that is not a Leica lens, there is a difference between the M mount and the brand, but you wouldn't always know that with the Leica people. Speaking of other things that are made that don't carry the Leica branding, let's talk about accessories, because Leica users have a very distinctive taste in what accessories they use. Look, now I am a sucker for bags. I'm a sucker for good photography accessories, but some of the Leica culture obsession with these different brands, specifically one brand, I'm just gonna call them out because you all are thinking it already if you know the Leica community. The Overworth stuff, it is crazy expensive, like not practical stuff at all. It is so top dollar. And I have some top dollar bags as well. I would say my nicest bag is an Ona bag, but then I use like some messenger bags that I just put a Peak Design small cube in, or my backpack, I just throw a Peak Design small cube in, and boom, camera bag. I'll say this, I've never owned Overworth, and I can already hear the keyboards get going from the Overworth people and the big fans or whatever. I mean, sure, it's great stuff, I'm sure it is, but man, it's like Leica and Overworth are like synonymous. You gotta have that leather half case on your camera. I mean, how else will you dress it up without the leather half case? Leica users love some bougie accessories. To me, it's a little weird. Let's be practical, or at least fancy and practical. I don't get the accessory world around the Leica community. Also, Leica's own accessories are insane. I have this third-party thumb grip for 40 bucks from Amazon. I didn't want to spend, what, $300 for the Leica branded one? I don't get that. Who would? 40 bucks on Amazon does the same thing. Maybe I'm just cheap. I mean, I do shoot Leica, so I don't think you'll want to say I'm cheap. But it's gotta be practical. Okay, here's another controversial one. And maybe this is a personal problem, but let's talk about photo books, because honestly, I do not get them. Now, don't get me wrong. I can appreciate a photo book that has interesting photos or inspirational or aspirational images in it. There's like an obsession with photo books in the Leica community. One person recommended a photo book to me. I ordered it, it came. I'm not gonna tell you the name of it. I'm not even gonna describe the content of it because I don't wanna give it away because I'm about to say awful things about it. But this photo book was like recommended as this beautiful work of art. I get it, and I'm flipping through it and I don't understand it. I'm looking at these images. I don't think the images are great, and it's the same thing on every page, just a little different for like 50 pages. I just did not get it. But that's something unique to the Leica community, this obsession with photo books. If you have good stuff, by all means print a book and your people will support it and get it and be inspired by it. There's a lot of stuff out there that, again, it goes with the other point I made, can be weird, and then they all get thrown into a book, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And finally, the last thing on my list is that haters really hate the Leica photographers. But no Leica hater is worse than Leica's own photographers hating on Leica photographers. I have seen the most vile comments on YouTube and on other social media platforms by photographers literally trashing other Leica photographers for shooting, and this is honest to God truth here, shooting outside of Leica's scope, meaning that somebody that was shooting some things that weren't street photography, I saw a street photographer trash their photos, misrepresenting how they use their Leica. I was like, my goodness, why would anyone have the audacity to write that kind of thing? I've also seen Leica Purist who trash anything made for the M mount that is not a Leica. And additionally, I've seen Leica Purist trash people that take care of their cameras because, oh, it's a tool to be used. Oh yeah, I walk around and bang it on the wall. It's a tool to be used. But you don't use your tools. Oh, your Leica got a scuff on it and that bothers you. It's like some people care about their things and want to take care of them. And I've seen Leica photographers trash other Leica photographers for taking care of their equipment. There are none more vile in the Leica community than the Leica photographers themselves. As Taylor Swift says, the haters are gonna hate, 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 hate. That is my 10-point take on the weird culture that surrounds the Leica photography community. And remember, this video is all in good fun. I myself confess and admit that I am guilty of some of these things. And I also admit that I might be too dense to really get the photo book thing. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Do you affirm this list? Do you have other things you would add to it? I actually kind of polled my Threads following for a bit and saw some of these same things listed, especially the made a photo. I made a photo. I can't even say it really without laughing because it sounds so ridiculous. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and again, just enjoy the day. Just have fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and if you can see my eye through the rangefinder, then give me one of those thumbs up. See you guys next time.